Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Woo! What's up, guys? How we doing tonight? Welcome to American Fire. I'm Ace. I'm your host. I'll be taking you through the biggest news of the last few days, understanding it. And guys, listen, today's big story we're going to cover. By the way, how fire was that intro by Pete Hegseth, man? That Department of War is dope. I love it. I love what they're doing. We got some news on that front as well. But before we get into that, today we have a lot to talk about as far as there's a massive psy-op going on in MAGA, trying to destroy the MAGA movement, trying to destroy Trump, bring it down, destroy JD Vance's chances in 2028. And we're going to expose it here tonight. And I'm going to show you what's going on, who to trust, who not to trust, and all that fun stuff. So anyways, before we get started, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Got a big show for you tonight. Sorry I am late. Listen, as I was getting ready to come up here, gets going, my kids started throwing up. So that's how it goes sometimes. A little throw up. Never hurt anybody except for when it does. Caused me to be late. A little gross. A little freaky, disgusting. But it's going to be okay. He's all taken care of, and I am here. So let's get started. Let me say hey to the peeps in the chizat. What's going on, guys? Who is here first? US1, what's up? David, what's going on? Todd Earhart, how you doing? The One, what to do? Moody Waters, Rum Dog, Chad Yunkin, Kim Wiley, Vince Feliz, what's going on? CJ Yukon, what's up? D6, wait until the game's over. Listen, man, it's the Cowboys. Who cares? What's up? Alan Krantz, what's up, man? Dude, you know I believe in free speech. Come on now. Armand, what's up? Wago Waco, Lock Up, Nick Majors, Cass Sink, Brian T., William Kivamaki, how we doing? AJ Trader, Toe Cramp, Rum Dog, Alice Fordham, Armand, buddy, we missed you, man. I've missed you. I haven't seen you as much lately. It's good to have you in here. Linda Telly, how we doing? Danny Gigal, it's been a bit. ST, what's up? Cliff Parker, what's going on? Ellie, LMI, yeah, baby. All right, guys. Well, got a lot to cover. I'm definitely not a Cowboys fan, but I got to check something real quick. Speaking of the game tonight. All right, looks like I'm going to win my fantasy league. So, hey, it's the important stuff. That's what I'm here for, is to talk about the important stuff. All right. Well, Alan, I hear your worries. You don't got anything to be worried about, man. I am all free speech. That is not going to be, I know what you're getting at. But that is not what is going to be the point of my show. I am not here to get after anybody for speaking. Tucker had Nick Fuentes on. I know that's where you're getting at. That is not at all where I'm going with this. However, there is something about it we need to talk about. And I'm not the only person seeing it right now. As we speak, there are many noticing what's happening. This is Sasha Stone. She was a leftist writer, Hollywood writer, knew actors, actresses, reported on movies, all that stuff, in the know, hardcore leftist until COVID woke her up. Now she's a huge Trump supporter and writes often about how the Democratic Party is basically eating itself, destroying itself. But she wrote tonight, the right is allowing themselves to be weakened and divided by the left. They don't seem to realize what's happening to them, but as someone from the left, I can see the game plan. Just remember this moment in 2026. She's absolutely right. And I thought it was very interesting that she wrote this, because she wrote it after I'd already decided to do my show on it tonight, because there is something really, really sinister happening to the MAGA movement right now. It's an attack from those who would say they were MAGA. It's trying to divide us, and it's coming from two sides of the spectrum, which we're going to get into tonight. We're seeing it from those who would claim to be the true American first, and we're also seeing it from the old school Republicans, as they claimed that they were the America first all along. And it's time to really expose this. This is clearly, they waited for the shutdown. Tomorrow is going to be a big Democratic day in elections. They are expected to win the Virginia governor's race. They're expected to win the New Jersey governor's race, although they could lose that one. Probably not, but it is close enough where it's within the margin of error. And then the New York mayor's race is tomorrow, where they're going to anoint a socialist communist mayor of New York. And so tomorrow is going to be a big day of celebration for the left. And it's interesting that all this is starting to happen now. Again, I don't believe in coincidences. Not saying all this was planned, but I am saying it's being taken advantage of. The shutdown, this was the weekend of SNAP benefits drying up. Then a court declared Trump had to pay them. The Trump administration had to figure it out. So we're going to talk about that in a minute here. But they're looking at Trump as weak right now and MAGA as weak. Remember JD Vance last week? That big turning point event he did? I shared it all over my program because it was so excellent. They're using that to attack JD Vance. And so this is really interesting how we're going to see it. US 1 says New Jersey will be red tomorrow. Man, I really hope so. That would be incredible. Ryan Edberg, what's up, buddy? Yeah, hit the like. Thank you. Donald Bolio, what's going on? So I would love to see Jack Ciattarelli win, but again, I don't expect it, but it is too close to call. I'll say that. The Democrats, though, are going all out to try and steal this. But first, we got to look at what's going on here, because this is the biggest story going on right now and nobody is talking about it. Here, this shared right here. She says, another reason I'm blocking over Erica Kirk. But look at this is the kind of stuff going on right now. Charlie Kirk murder solved. Erica Kirk and JD Vance are having an affair since he knows his current Jeet wife can't win him the presidency. JD took Charlie out so he could win the presidency of Erica's first lady. Case solved. Now, this is not like big spreading conspiracy theory right now, this JD Vance stuff. These are the seeds trying to get in. This is the kind of stuff that Candace Owens is not outright saying because she knows how crazy it would seem, but she's building towards something like this. And it's not just her. It's the Nick Fuenteses of the world. It's the Ian Carrolls of the world. All on that side, the Whitney Webbs, they are attacking because from this, we are the true America first people. And this is the kind of stories they're trying to build. They're trying to seed doubt at every opportunity, and they're using the Charlie Kirk death to do it. And I'm sorry, but the Candace Owens stuff is getting out of control. It's out of control, and I'm going to show you the latest example of that now. But Emerald Robinson writes this today. Today, they want you to disavow Tucker. Last week, they wanted you to disavow Candace. Last month, they wanted you to disavow Massey. Last year, they wanted you to disavow MTG. In 2016, they wanted you to disavow Donald Trump. You see how she throws people, I mean, obviously, Trump is legit, and they know it, so they can't attack Trump. They just can't. Unless they're on the far scale like Fuentes is. But they can't go full on to Trump because they know that causes people to sniff out. I don't believe Emerald Robinson is legit. And I've talked about this before. I talked about last year leading up to the election, how she was spreading all kinds of fear porn. She was talking about how she had discovered how the election was rigged, how it wasn't going to go this way, how the Republican Party had completely fallen apart. Trump hadn't listened to people like her, and it was all going to fall apart. And she was shouting this like crazy when it was clear to all of us who actually did the research that he was going to win. She was one of those spreading the fear porn. And then she backtracked it. This woman has been wrong so much. but she spreads it with truth. But she's part of this issue. And now she's trying to lump in people I legitimately believe are trying to undermine Trump and MAGA right now, including Candace Owens and Thomas Massey. I don't believe Tucker's fully there yet, although some of the stuff is interesting, but I actually still think he's one of the good ones. MTG, she's legit. She is. She can be annoying sometimes, but she's legit. So you see how they do this. They mix them all together as if they're all on the same side. They're not. Thomas Massey is not one of us, and I'm going to go into that more tonight. Obviously, Candace is not one of us, but these two are one of these. And here's the latest from Candace Owens. She's now calling Turning Point a Mormon organization. She's outright saying that Charlie Kirk, strong evangelical Christian Charlie Kirk, was secretly the head of a Mormon organization that wasn't actually Christian. This is getting crazier by the moment. I cannot. Last week it was that Charlie had a Catholic memorial. And now he read a Mormon organization. She can't even keep it straight anymore. Now, this is extremely interesting because Candace was close to Turning Point for years and close to Charlie. She was a big proponent of it, big fan of it. And her husband, I did a deep, deep dive on Candace Owens' backstory today. I don't like what I found. Her husband, multi-millionaire, worth somewhere between $150 and $200 million. He ran Turning Point in the UK. So they were deeply embedded in Turning Point. And just now, after Charlie Kirk dies, she's calling it a Mormon organization when last week it was a Catholic that Charlie had somehow converted secretly to Catholicism. This is getting crazier by the minute, and she's not even being consistent anymore. Now, I've said in the past, I've been halfway on Candace. Like, I think some of the stuff she's gone after has been legit. And I think in the past, she had a great deal of good things. She's brilliant. She's beautiful. She's got the whole package. I'm not knocking her abilities, but I'm starting to tell you guys, she's lost it. She's legitimately lost it. And I don't think she's crazy. So in researching her today, going all the way back to how she got started, Candace was a young leftist. She was raised by intellectuals who leaned left. And then she came on the scene when she had an incident in high school where a racist attacked her, and she got on the national news. From there, she used this to create a marketing agency. Her marketing agency had a blog on it that was very leftist, made fun of Republicans, mocked them, mocked Trump. Now, she didn't write any of those articles, but she was a part of it. And then in 2017, she claimed she had a conservative awakening. She was before that very anti-Tea Party, all this stuff. But then she had a conservative awakening. And all of a sudden, she's everywhere. She joins TPUSA. She later, after a few years, got big enough to join the Daily Wire, get a big contract with them, left the Daily Wire, and now she's who she is today, which she's huge now. She's absolutely huge. She's banking money. And I got to tell you that what I believe Candace is now, I don't believe she's paid by anybody. She doesn't need the money. She's got a super wealthy husband. I don't believe there's some puppeteer out there controlling Candace. But what I believe about Candace Owens is that she is completely an opportunist. That she's going to go where the fame, the money, the opportunity is. And she will change her beliefs on a dime as a result. How else do you go from being lefty to awaken? Now, listen, that happens. I'm not saying it doesn't. She was in her 20s. She says she was young and naive. Okay, let's take her at her word. That's fine. But she's a marketer. She started in marketing. Leftist when she was a marketer, got on the scene immediately just for being basically a well-spoken, beautiful black woman who was conservative. Gets on the scene, gets connected with Charlie. All of a sudden is everywhere, making lots of, getting events, making money, getting fame. Good for her. But it tells me something. When you are politically minded and you just have your awakening and then you're platformed immediately, those convictions aren't there yet. That education isn't there yet. It's not built in you. And you're already teaching people. That, my friends, is a big red flag. It's a big red flag. And she's only grown since then. And I'm not saying she's not brilliant. She has done some good work. Some of her stuff's very interesting. But think about the stories she's followed this year. Actually, going back to last year. Last year, her big coverage was Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni over the It Ends With Us movie and the big controversy over that. That was like pop culture to a T during election season. That was her big story that she was covering. And it worked. She had tons of views. My wife, who's not political at all, doesn't like any of it. She was watching Candace Owens regularly because she was so engaged in this whole thing. Because she loved the book that they turned it into a movie. And so she was following it. It was spicy. It was interesting. She did great work on it. That was what Candace did. Opportunity. After that, her next big story, which she followed for months. Macron's wife. Is it Brigitte Macron? Is she actually a dude? Very interesting stuff. Saucy, spicy. Gets her millions and millions of views. Keep building up those views, getting her name out there. But is it important? No. Is it saucy? Oh, yeah. And now Charlie Kirk died. And since Charlie died and Candace knew him, and I'm not saying she wasn't saddened by his death, not at all. But I also think there's a tick in Candace that just can't stop. And she can't stop the fact that she wants to run with this opportunity. And the opportunity is that there's questions around his death. A lot of questions. A lot of weird stuff happened. And yet no evidence that supports anything truly sinister going on. Just odd things. And guess what happens in major events when somebody gets shot? Odd things. And am I saying the official narrative is the official narrative? No, I don't necessarily believe that. I haven't seen enough evidence one way or the other. But I'm saying what she is throwing out there over and over again is all kinds of allegations, which she hides behind questions that are getting spread like crazy and getting her millions and millions of views. She made $170,000 last month just off super chats. $170,000 just off YouTube super chats. That's a good month. That puts her on point for about 2 million a year just off that. That's not including the millions of views that the ad revenue is getting her, different channels, and whatever else she might be getting paid in sponsorships, so on and so forth. She's getting this despite the fact that we keep catching her in lies, saying that Trump was behind it when there's zero evidence to that. And Charlie was best friends with JD, with Don Jr. Trump called him a fourth son, alleging that one guy, just because he made a phone call, got online and started talking to people when Charlie was shot, even though that was exactly what a news guy usually would do. I mean, guys, this is a problem, what we're starting to see from her. And now calling Turning Point a Mormon organization. So this is her bombshells day by day, and they're just becoming weaker and weaker. On top of that, we have other weird things like this. Candace telling a whole story about Ben Shapiro got butthurt over a joke she made on Rogan back in 2018, how Ben tried to block TPUSA from growing and tried to pull Charlie away from Candace. And that could be true, as this person states. But I love how she conveniently glosses over the fact she went on to work for Ben Shapiro, which she did. That was after 2018. So if Ben Shapiro, truly this evil man, this guy trying to destroy Charlie Kirk, her true friend, the guy that said like she could be his David, that when he died, she would take it over. That's how close they were at one point. if Ben Shapiro tried to destroy Turning Point USA and ruin her best friend's work, why go work for that man just a couple years after? It's pretty sick, isn't it? Pretty shady. And then if you'd made amends with Ben Shapiro and went to work for him after that and everything was cool between him and Turning Point USA, why throw him under the bus now for something that happened back then that should have been forgiven? So that's either completely classless or it's an outright lie. And at this point, we just can't trust her. And then this is where it gets even shadier to me. Here's a tweet that she deleted today. Scott Pressler out there, I don't know what to say. He's getting people to vote in New Jersey, trying to turn it red, trying to get Jack Ciattarelli across the finish line. Scott Pressler, one of the guys who really helped Trump get elected last fall by registering thousands upon thousands of people, especially in Pennsylvania, helped turn Pennsylvania red, brought a true miracle to our country. Good dude. You can disagree with his lifestyle, whatever you want. You can pick out, but you can't disagree that the guy's not doing the work to change the country back for the better. And Candace today, how Tucker Carlson survived this? Calling out Scott Pressler. Why? Well, because that's a bunch of Jews. And then she went on and deleted it. So now she's just throwing crap in the fire no matter what it is. If the elections are a mockery, this is not somebody who cares about winning. This is somebody who cares about themselves. And she's out there with the biggest audience of all of them, stirring stuff up. And it just makes me wonder, clearly she's self-serving. Clearly she's an opportunist. Is it sinister? I don't know yet, but it's starting to look worse all the time. And then we have Thomas Massie. It's really important to call Thomas Massie. And by the way, the reason I'm bringing up these people, these are the people, Candace, Thomas, Nick Fuentes, Ian Carroll, so on and so forth. These are the people who say they're really the American first people. That MAGA is fake. That Trump stole MAGA. Trump's not really America first. These are the America first people. Well, Thomas Massie, we've covered him before, and I'll say the two biggest pieces of evidence to me that he's not America first is that A, the Epstein stuff, he didn't care about it until Trump came back on the scene in 2024. There is one tweet from Thomas Massie back in 2022 that mentions the Epstein files. One. And no other evidence of him ever doing anything about it. This man has been big on Twitter for years. He loves attention, by the way. Well, Thomas Massie also was a clearing vote in the committee to pass Biden's budget that got a year and a half with no debt ceiling. In other words, they could spend as much as they want, go crazy, and no debt ceiling to argue over. None. They didn't even put a cap on it. They just said, until this date, there will be no debt ceiling. Thomas Massie, the true blue libertarian, America first, debt's bad, don't overspend, passed it in committee, is the reason we got the Biden budget. It was a committee vote 7-6, Thomas Massie. So you put those two things together, and then you put the fact that he is the number one person in the House standing up to Trump on everything. Not Democrats, because everybody expects the Democrats to be against him. No, this is a Republican who claims to be the only true America first guy out there attacking Trump at every opportunity, not directly, indirectly, trying to ruin Trump's agenda, saying it's America first. And meanwhile, turning a huge faction of MAGA, and by huge, I mean maybe 2 to 5%, but large enough to be loud, large enough to be impactful, turning them against Trump and MAGA. The Massie stands come out big. I just posted the debate. I clipped the part where JD Vance answers one question about Thomas Massie. Oh, the Massie heads did not like that. I got lots of comments about it. Massie's the only true America first guy. He's the true patriot. Massie's the only principled one. Is he really? Well, let me bring up something today that I think is clearly not principled. And look, this might rub some of you wrong way, and that's okay. Let me explain myself, and then let's see where we stand. PD, who I really like, great follow on X, good dude. I've had a few exchanges with him. Good family guy, businessman, very MAGA. Says, when I first started liking Thomas Massie, it was the family pictures. That was what got me first. I was heartbroken when his wife passed away. Then he started voting against Trump, and I always thought that was suspect constantly. Then I saw a glam up. He wasn't just acting himself. Something felt off. Thought it was suspicious. He wasn't the man I thought he was. He wasn't one of my tribe. I asked myself, my instincts right again? I wasn't being cocky. I've always had a good intuitive thing. It's what made me successful in life. And today I saw an image with him with a much younger woman. Remarried just barely a year after his wife's death, and that's what hit me. The reason I liked Massey in the first place, because he, like me, I thought he'd never remarry because there's only one wife, only one. He understood true family. Funny how things work. Well, today, Thomas Massey announced his new marriage. Now, I personally have no issue with somebody who lost a spouse getting remarried. I really don't. Petey and I disagree on that. He says one wife forever. I disagree with that. I think that if you lose your spouse, you're welcome. If you find it difficult to be alone, that's fine. But a year later, no, there's something I feel extremely wrong about that. See, the story was last year that he lost his wife suddenly. This was not a long drawn out battle with cancer or anything like that. This wasn't something that it took him years to go through, and he'd already had a lot of mourning time, a lot of time to say goodbye built up to it. No, he lost his wife suddenly. It was a shock to everybody. I remember when it happened. A few months after he lost his wife, not very long, I think it was 4 or 6 months later, he was dating somebody in the MMTLP community. They broke up. I heard secondhand, so I can't verify it, but I heard from secondhand that she said he was a jerk. I don't know. Maybe that's just hearsay. I'm not going to hold that against him because I can't say for sure. Just what I heard. But then I see him with a much younger wife after 30 years of marriage, just over a year later. I'm sorry, that rubs me the wrong way. Maybe that's just me. But there was a lot of people who agree with me on this one. It was all over X today. Of course, a lot of people fell in line. Thanks. Congrats, Thomas. Well done. I feel very torn on this one. Again, I don't think you need to choose to be alone the rest of your life. That's not me. But it is true that he changed. His looks have changed significantly. From this ruddy-eyed man, a little heavier, with his wife of 30 years, to this. Now, fine, you lose your wife, you maybe get a little depressed, you hit the gym more because you got time. That's fine. I get that. That's fine. But marriage in just over a year, I don't know. That doesn't sit right with me. You guys can decide for yourselves on that one, but personally, I feel a little sick about that. I think that's a character issue. I really do. My wife has a friend who just lost her husband in January. She's already dating a guy seriously. Everybody's like, it's too soon. You haven't fully grieved this yet. And it's right. She's making terrible choices. This guy has red flags all over him. And yet she just doesn't want to be alone. That's fine. You can say she's an adult. She's entitled to it. Fine. You're an adult. But it's also a bad choice. It's a terrible choice. And it shows that one of two things. Either your character is lacking or your ability to make decisions is lacking. I just don't see how this is something that is either wise or, it's a bad look. It just is a bad look. And this is supposed to be the most principled man in Congress. I have a serious issue with that. And I think it's a personal issue. And interestingly enough, Trump chose today to post this about Massey. Third-rate Congressman Thomas Massey, weak and pathetic rhino from the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, a place I love and won big 6 times. Must be thrown out of office ASAP. The incredible people of Kentucky's 4th District gave us a mandate to make America great again, and the person who will help us do that, he calls out the new guy, Ed Galrin, a brave combat veteran. Additionally, he's a very successful businessman. Ed knows how to create jobs. In Congress, he'll fight tirelessly. But the point obviously the biggest point is calling out Thomas Massey, and he did it today on the day Thomas Massey announces his wedding. Now, why does Trump do that? Some people say he's just a bully. This is just Trump being petty, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that's true. But personally, I think Trump knows Massey is not who he says he is. I think he truly knows that. Massey, when you're just somebody who always votes no against everything and never has anything positive to bring up, and then is going after the big conspiracy that could hurt Trump the most if anything comes out about it, and even hurts him when it's not being disclosed. That's the Epstein files. He's the biggest one pushing it. So why is Massey trying to ruin Trump's opportunities at every chance? Why is he so against advancing what Trump's trying to do? It's not principle. He voted for Biden's budget, the biggest spending our government's ever done over a year and a half as part of a budget. How can you call that principled? There's something like really sick about Thomas Massey. It drives me nuts because the libertarians who are just blinded to what's going on, and they will always vote no for anything because libertarians don't know how to build anything. They only know how to stop things from progressing, which has its value in certain times, but not in this time when we're clearly fighting a much, much bigger war internally, politically, and domestically than most people know. It's because it's not surface level. So again, just interesting. Trump calls him out in this day. And guys, I'll keep coming back to this one thing. I trust Trump more than any of these people. I do. I do. And I always will. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But number one is the fact that he's actually done the work for making our country better, even if I don't always see exactly how he's trying to get there in the moment. But he's also the dude who actually took a bullet for us and kept moving forward. You know, it's like these people who everybody says are the true good people. Nobody's trying to take them out. Nobody's ever tried to shoot Thomas Massey, as far as I know. But they did shoot Charlie Kirk. They took out Charlie Kirk. They killed him. They tried to kill Trump not once, but twice that we know of. Probably several other times as well. Nobody's trying to kill Candace Owens. Nobody's tried to kill Trump. Not Trump, Massey. There was somebody who tried to kill Nick Fuentes, interestingly enough, but when you're talking the way Fuentes always talks, doesn't surprise me. Now, we have a problem on the other side too, okay? We have Nick Fuentes right here sharing Ted Cruz. Now, Ted Cruz is a part, again, remember, I'm painting a picture here of this fight from both sides. Both sides of the fence of not MAGA. MAGA's in the middle of all this. But this is a Republican Party right now. This is all the people who voted Republican, who've supported Trump in this last election, who or at least were anti-Democrat, and now are trying to take control. Because MAGA is led by Trump, and they smell blood in the water with this shutdown and everything. And they're trying to get control back. Because you know why? JD Vance is starting to get more and more popular and grow in power, and they are terrified. They're terrified because if JD Vance takes over in 2028, they know they're done for good. They have one last chance to take over the Republican Party, and that is 2028. And they secretly want Trump to lose the midterms. And this is on the Republican side of things. The America First, we're the real America First crowd, and then the RINO or old school Republicans, I should say the old school Republicans, they are smelling blood in the water where they're going to try to take out the future of MAGA right now. And they're both warring to control MAGA. Ted Cruz out there saying ridiculous stuff. Repeatedly begged Trump to bomb Iran for weeks. And then telling Tucker Carlson, I'm not going to play the clips tonight. I got too much to talk about. I got clips later I'll show. But also saying that Tucker Carlson is anti-Semitic just for having Nick Fuentes on his show. Now, guys, this anti-Semitic thing is insanity. It's being used to try to drive a wedge in MAGA. It's trying to ruin us. But what it really is, the last gasp cries of the neocons freaking out. Freaking out. And Ted Cruz is, listen, all accounts of Ted Cruz on a personal level are not kind. I've appreciated Ted Cruz's voting because he has voted staunchly conservative. And I'm not going to, I can't knock him there. But Ted Cruz is also kind of a moron when it comes to Israel. He is completely all in. He's out there saying that the Bible tells us we have to support Israel no matter what. That's ridiculous. Especially when Israel's doing terrible things. Again, I'm not Israel controls the world person. I'm not Israel tard, but I'm also not you support them no matter what they do. Ted Cruz is there. And Ted Cruz is also establishment Republican. He is in the DeSantis wing of things. He is with the neocons. Ted Cruz can be a great ally, but Ted Cruz also wants power. He ran for president against Trump. They were not friendly until Trump got in. Ted Cruz played the game when J6 happened and the election stuff happened. Ted Cruz was trying to come up with this solution that was very weak to try to make MAGA happy, but also not really get anything done. And then J6 happened and he scrapped it. He was going to call for 10 extra days to certify the election, to do some research on stuff, which was pretty weak. But it was something. Ted Cruz is very smart. He's very smart. But he's not a good dude. He's not a good dude. As long as he's senator, I'll vote for. Oh, I'm not in Texas anymore. I'd vote for him over any Democrat for sure because I know where his votes are going to be. But I don't trust him, and neither should you. And then we got Fuentes out here. Fuentes saying he's a true America first. Telling everybody we literally boycotted Trump in 2024 because he was too pro-Israel. Boycotted. Not just didn't vote for him. Boycotted. Again, he's the full America first guy. Fuentes, Candace Owens, all on that side. You guys see how we're starting to see this war? He's sharing stuff about Ted Cruz like they're fighting. Who's actually MAGA in all of this? It's Joe Sixpack, who's cheering for Trump, just hoping for things to turn around. Not political. This is the political war going on. This is the political war going on. All these guys showing them who they really are. Nick Fuentes not to be trusted. But again, I have no problem with Tucker having an interview with him. I think it exposed him a little bit. In the interview, Nick Fuentes said he admires Joseph Stalin. He's a hero of his. Joseph Stalin, the greatest communist of all time other than Mao Zedong, killed 40 to 50 million of his own people on his watch. And Nick Fuentes is an admirer of him. Nick Fuentes is a terrible person. He comes across as very smart. He says some good stuff. He made some excellent points on Tucker's podcast about men today and the situation with men and where things are. Huh? Sorry, guys. I have another kid sick. Sorry, guys. But so Fuentes, brilliant. Pulls people in with some of his good points and then shows you who he really is. Says horrible things about women, horrible things about Jews, horrible things about black people. Just an awful, awful person. Admires Stalin, admires Hitler. That's all you need to know. Don't be sucked in by his charm. He's very charming, very smart. Tucker, if I were him, I would have pressed him a little harder. I don't have any problem with Tucker interviewing him, but people are using it to attack Tucker and, again, to try to tear apart our movement. Then we have the other guy on the side, Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll wrote this the other day. Trump's approval rating is at all-time lows. Well, it wasn't. When he wrote this, it wasn't. I pulled up in fact, you can see my tweet right after it. They're not all-time lows. And I proved it right here. You can see right here. All-time lows are down. Not even close to all-time lows. He just lies. This guy hasn't been right about anything in a long time. Came on the scene out of nowhere talking about Wall Street, built himself a little platform, and all of a sudden is one of the biggest influencers out there. Millions of people listen to this guy. Millions of people watching now. It's crazy. And he says nothing. He has nothing to offer except anti-Israel, anti-Trump all the time. Little asides here and there. Nothing interesting. No work he's done is his own. Everything he said is I've heard from somebody else first. So I looked into Ian Carroll, and you know what his background is? It's almost nothing. This dude is nearly impossible to find anything on. I learned where he lives, and that's about it. I learned that he drove Uber for a while, worked at a pizza place, but almost no social media before he started doing his TikTok conspiracy videos 2 or 3 years ago. Almost no social media. This guy is in his young 30s. Are you telling me he's got no timestamp? I can't find anything on him. No records. Couldn't find even where he went to high school. He doesn't talk about himself personally ever. You can't DM him on Twitter. He's got it turned off. This guy has controlled opposition written all over him. How do you start with barely anybody behind you, steal everybody's research, promote it as your own, and all of a sudden become a huge influencer that is trying to undercut the MAGA movement at every opportunity, spreading lies about it, misdirections, trying to get everybody to distrust Trump? This guy got on Rogan. That's like the biggest thing of all. Rogan's a dude. I don't think Rogan's controlled by anybody, but somebody made some calls. Somebody got him in front of Rogan, and Rogan's really curious. So if you make one interesting video and Rogan sees it, he'll call you on. Somebody got him in front of Rogan. That was enough. But this guy is one of the worst I've seen. I've been watching him now closely for a year. Finally deep dived his background. Again, very shady when you can't find much about somebody, especially in these times. There should be a lot on Ian Carroll. There's almost nothing. Why don't you ever talk about yourself, Ian? You're just a cool dude. Like just the bro, just asking questions, bro. Just a conspiracy, bro. Just looking it up, man. Dude, it's so crazy. It's crazy what I found. Israel just runs everything, bro. They controlled it. This guy is one of the worst shills out there. And yet, he's hanging out with Candace, defending Nick Fuentes. They're all kind of in the ring together. Isn't that interesting? And they all smell blood after Charlie's gone. Charlie, it's turning out, was much more of a gatekeeper protecting MAGA than we knew. And that doesn't mean MAGA wasn't fine without him. It was pretty good without him. But Charlie really did a lot. Charlie is the reason Trump won by so much. Not that he won, period, but that he won by so much. Charlie was the great communicator. And Charlie was the one keeping it all on track. Because as long as Charlie was out there doing the work, there was no one else out there who you could say was more MAGA than Charlie. Nobody. Because Charlie did it. And he was out there. We saw him every day. And he was the one relationship with the president and protecting the president's reputation, fighting for him, fighting for a conservative MAGA agenda. Charlie was doing it. Now that Charlie's gone, that vacuum, these guys are all trying to fill it. Candace, Ian, you name it. They're all trying to fill it. They're all trying to get in there because there's this great vacuum. And now the whole thing going on is, oh, that's not really America first. Because now Charlie's not there to tell us whether they're wrong or right. We don't have that great leader. We have Trump. But the problem with Trump is he's a politician. And it's far too easy to cast shade on politicians because he's the government now. Which is ridiculous to me because Trump's the guy they kicked out of the government. He's the guy who pushed out of the government. He's the guy they tried to kill. But now the story is, from these we're the America first bros, is that Trump's not really America first. He's just another part of the government. He's part of one of the cogs in the Israel wheel. And they're doing the same thing with JD Vance, trying to take him out. All of these people, Candace, Ian, Nick, they're all spreading the JD Vance Palantir connections as if it's this great are a great, perfect example of how JD Vance is controlled, even though there's really no evidence to it. There's associations, there's connections, but there's no evidence to anything. In fact, there's a great load of evidence proving otherwise, that he's not controlled by anybody. But that doesn't matter to these people because they don't actually care about the real evidence. They only care about what would support their narrative. Ask yourself why they're all speaking about the same things. This just happened this weekend. And People's Pundit calls it out. But Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics, says, after a wave of new polls all over the weekend, Trump's job approval rating in the RCP average slid to a second-term low of 43.7. Funny. 4 days? 4 days after Ian Carroll says Trump's approval is at all-time lows, that narrative is being spread, and it's not true. 4 days later, it becomes true? Huh. Interesting. How's that possible? Maybe they needed to finally cook the books a little bit to make a point, to actually have something to point to because it was too easy to disprove them. I don't know. Seems a little shady to me. There are no coincidences, folks. Thankfully, we have people like Rich Barris who actually understand how the polls work and actually understand how fake many of these polls are, and he calls them out. This is what they're designed to do. The demographics in these polls are trash. No pollster should really be afraid to say any of what I just said anymore. In other words, the polls that are being used now, they all got together. And other than Rasmussen and Big Data poll, the only two polls I trust anymore, other than those two, they're all rigging right now in a certain direction. Because, guys, it's time. It's time to push the narrative. It's time to try to take out MAGA. That's what they're doing right now. They're trying to weaken MAGA so much, weaken Trump so much, that he comes out of this time with the government shutdown. They're probably going to try to tank the markets. They're probably going to, they're just going to bring out everything they got. They're trying to get us back into war. I know that for a fact. Trying to get us into some deep wars, drag us back into stuff. These people have been defeated constantly, and they're still losing. But they're showing us again that they have different methods they're still going to try in their desperation. And this is what they're doing right now, trying to tear MAGA apart by the people who claim to be close to it. Then we have people like this. Randy Fine called Tucker Carlson the most dangerous anti-Semite in America. Randy Fine, this fat, disgusting guy, just got elected in a special election in Florida for an open house seat in the spring. Trump supported him, but it was because he had to. He was the only Republican running. He couldn't let a Democrat get in. But this guy is super neocon, super Israel Zionist, hardcore. And he's going out there attacking Tucker as well over this. This is the old school Republicans trying to make a play. And they're trying to take out Tucker, who I still believe Tucker is one of the good guys. I really do. I think Tucker is independent. I think he's a little bit rogue. I think he likes to ask questions. I think he is that reporter thing where he likes to poke and prod sometimes when it might not be the most helpful, but that's just Tucker being Tucker. I'm okay with that. And until he shows me anything deeper than that, I don't worry about Tucker. And again, I have no problem that he had an interview with Nick Fuentes. I think that's helpful. I'm a free speech guy. But it is interesting that once Nick Fuentes got out there, that America, we're the real America first message got out there in such a big way from Fuentes, that now it's caused such a backlash that all the Israel bros, part of the wing party, are really pushing hard for their attempt to take power back. These people aren't MAGA either. Again, Ted Cruz, Fine, and one of our old favorites. Oh, that's another fine one again. Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro did his whole show today on how Tucker screwed up and should never have had Nick Fuentes on. Ben Shapiro is somebody he's basically admitted to the fact that he would choose Israel over America if he had to. This guy was born and raised in Los Angeles, now lives in Nashville, Tennessee. He is American as American pie, except that he's got a Jewish last name, was raised Jewish blood, I guess. I should have said that first probably. But point is, he still considers himself more loyal to Israel than America, despite being one of the most prominent conservatives of the last 25 years. Ben Shapiro today went all out. So we have Ted Cruz, Rip Fine, Ben Shapiro going all out. No groypers, no to cowards like Tucker Carlson, no to those who champion them, no to demoralization, no to bigotry, no to anti-Americanism. Just making a big, big point on it. Here's 42 minutes right here, whole spiel on it. They're trying to take the party back. These are the people. Remember, Ben Shapiro abandoned Trump, abandoned him in the election, went all behind DeSantis, said Trump had worn out his welcome. It's time to move on. Trump was old news. He didn't like Trump the first time around. He was all in on Ted Cruz. Didn't like Trump the first time around. Notice that connection there, all in on Ted Cruz? Yeah. Wasn't a Trump guy, wasn't a MAGA guy. Ben Shapiro hates populism, which is what MAGA is all about. It's about right-wing populism and nationalism. Not Ben. Ben's old school establishment Republican. Israel, defend them, load them up at all costs. War, keep us going, baby. Keep that war machine running. These are the people who prop up Ben Shapiro. They've taken good care of him, and he, in return, has taken good care of that. He tried to be the next Rush Limbaugh. He's not fun enough. He's not charismatic enough. He is brilliant. Don't get me wrong. Ben Shapiro's a brilliant, brilliant dude. But he's not MAGA. He isn't. And deep down, he resents MAGA because they've taken over the party that he was supposed to be part of running. They took it over. They took it from him. They took away the full control Israel had over the government, over the Republican Party. That happened because of MAGA. Ben hates that. He hates that. And now he's part of them all coming together at the same time, trying to tear apart MAGA by going after Tucker. And then there's Mark Levin. Oh, Marky Mark. Mark Levin calling out Steve Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens to be dealt with. Now, I would argue that these first three are true MAGA. I still mostly trust Steve Bannon, although I do have questions, but we'll have to talk about that another time. I've seen some interesting things that kind of worry me a little bit, but for now, Bannon's still on the good side of things. MTG, I still believe she's a true believer, and Tucker I've already talked about. Candace Owens, though, that's because they have to war with that other side. She's a part of that. She's full anti-Israel, and that cannot be in here at all. And so, again, we have the two wings coming together. But Levin is one of the most terrible people on the right. And I'm a little bit ashamed of this. I used to believe Sean Hannity when he called him the Great One. I used to look forward to Levin coming on the Sean Hannity show. But Levin is as rhino, old establishment Republican neocon as it gets. Here he is calling for Tucker Carlson, anyone who criticizes the government of Israel, to be deplatformed and canceled. If you're not allowed to speak about this stuff, there's a problem. It just keeps going, guys. So I'm going to end with this. The Romney, Cruz, DeSantis crew has zero clue. That's who I just showed you. Fine, Levin, Cruz, Ben Shapiro, all that DeSantis group. They were the ones, and I told you guys this last year during the primaries. And I used to have arguments on here in 2023 leading up to the primaries. So many people, you guys who've been here a while, remember them coming into the chat. DeSantis is the guy. It's time to move on from Trump. They all believed it. I told them DeSantis was about to get walloped. I was right. People won't want DeSantis. DeSantis done a great job as governor. He's not MAGA. He's not ready to lead MAGA. He doesn't have what it takes. We can't trust him because he made a deal with McConnell and Paul Ryan, the old school Republicans, part of the Romney Cruz DeSantis crew, is McConnell and Paul Ryan. Those are not who we want to take over the Republican Party. They are desperately trying because they are falling apart. They're trying to come back. Steve Cortez, Rich Barrows talks about when Steve Cortez endorses DeSantis. Roe gets rich grifting them, convinced them of that BS, and Van did my best to explain why he's wrong. They don't learn. It's very true. They don't learn at all. And now we have Tucker Carlson out there being platformed by Dave Smith to just talk about getting canceled. Now, what this is doing, Dave Smith, who I actually find very interesting, and I actually believe truly believes what he says he believes, but he gets caught up in this stuff because Dave Smith is a libertarian who doesn't trust anybody. And he hates war at all costs, and I seriously disagree with him on that. I don't think Dave Smith's one of the bad guys, but what's happening right now is they're trying to get Tucker pulled all the way over to the Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes side of things, because Tucker's never going to go back to the establishment Republicans. If we lose Tucker, if they get him over there, it's going to be a big problem because MAGA right now with Charlie gone, we need leaders. Tucker could be one of those if he steps up. We need leaders who aren't the politicians because of the nature of the movement and the distrust of government. As long as Trump and Vance are up there, people are going to love them. They're going to vote for them, but they're always going to wonder, are they getting co-opted too? Are they? And I don't believe they ever will. I don't have that concern, but people who don't pay attention do. And so if we lose Tucker, he gets pulled in by people like Dave Smith, who legitimately believes what he does, but he's misguided. That's a problem. And so he's the only one protecting Tucker right now, which is exactly what the neocons want. They want to push Tucker out. MAGA right now is struggling with a leadership problem, and they smell the blood in the water. They're going for it. And this is why they are so scared. Here's Trump voters, 2024. Are you America First or traditional Republican? All Trump voters in 2024, only 34% consider themselves traditional Republican. 52% consider themselves MAGA. Out of all Republican voters, only 37% consider themselves traditional Republican. 47% consider themselves MAGA. 18 to 29-year-olds, 55% consider themselves MAGA. 30 to 44-year-olds, millennials, baby, 64% MAGA. 45 to 64, 48% versus 36. And 65 plus 45% to 41. Guys, Republicans are MAGA now. They are. And they know this is becoming, I mean, you guys saw, this is the big data poll by almost 3,000 people interviewed. This is a very strong poll. And with JD Vance being out there, with what he did on Halloween, millions of views, people hilarious, his costume, with what he did on that TPUSA event where he just killed it, showed how well spoken he is, showed how he can handle the challenges, how he can handle all the questions with great descriptions, not avoiding the questions, going right up to him. He is a political talent, and he's going to pull people even more right than Trump because JD Vance is better at making people feel at peace. Trump's just a fighter all the time, and that's what we need right now. JD Vance is what we're going to need after. He's going to be the uniter who's going to pull in the moderates who don't like Trump's style. JD Vance is the future. Like it or not, it's what's happening. They see that now. They see this poll, like stuff like this. They are terrified. Terrified. These people saying they're MAGA, they're not Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, America First people. They're not libertarians, Thomas Massey types. These are Trump voters. These are the salt of the earth people who aren't following a ton of politics, but they're all in on Trump. They trust Trump. They gave him their vote. But the war you see being fought over social media is the war for the the lead of the Republican Party, and they're trying to sneak in to take over MAGA, ruin this movement, ruin what all these people are voting for. They're trying to steal it. They're trying to take it. The traditional Republicans trying to take it back because they hate that they lost it and that it might be gone for good. And that America First crowd, those extremist types, they just want to see the world burn. They just want to burn it all down because they all do better when things are bad. They do better when the traditional Republicans are in charge. They do better when the Democrats are in charge. And I don't know how much of them are controlled by deep state, whatever. I'm pretty sure Ian Carroll is. I feel very confident he is. Nick Fuentes, I don't know. I have my questions there. Thomas Massey, I don't know. I have my questions there. But they all are fighting on the same side. And they're all getting behind each other, celebrating each other. And it's a faction trying to destroy MAGA. There's no doubt about it. We're seeing it right now. And that takes us all the way back to here. The right, which is MAGA right now, allowing themselves to be weakened and divided by the left. What does she mean by that? She means the left's tactics. She means the left is throwing little bombs over here and we're squabbling about them because of all these factions infighting. MAGA is by far the largest faction, but MAGA is not fighting right now. We're watching all these other people fight for control. This is where Trump is seriously trying to show us by calling out people like Thomas Massey. This is one of those opportunities, guys, where we just have to choose who we're going to trust. Who's our leader? Well, as far as I'm concerned, Trump got us here. He started it, and I'm going to ride with him till he finishes it. And he chose JD Vance to succeed him. And Charlie Kirk, who shot and died for the MAGA movement, the only martyr on our side right now of any big name, of any acclaim, of any of our leaders, the only martyr of our leaders for MAGA, the truest one of us all, he trusted Trump and Vance. He trusted Kash Patel. If Charlie trusted them, I'm going to trust them. If Trump started it and took a bullet for it, I'm going to trust him. I don't care what all these people say. But this is why they're fighting us, guys. This is what they're trying to ruin. And I think it's the biggest story in America right now that's important, because if we lose this, if we let either of them take over, if we let the America First bros ruin us, or if we let the traditional Republicans take us back over, we'll lose everything. I don't think it's going to happen, but it has to be called out. It has to be exposed so it doesn't. So, all right, let me check in on the chat here. Sorry, guys. That was a very long segment, probably the longest I've ever done without stopping, but it was very important. I've had it on my heart the last couple of days. Real quick. And there goes another one. The throw a bug has hit my house, guys. Pray for me. Mike Mishler says, I'm with you on the Candace Owens stuff. She went cuckoo for me. I agree. Brett says, pretty soon Candace will have those crazy lady leftist glasses. I can see that. US1 says, days after Charlie Kirk assassinated, Mikey Sherrill called him misogynist. Well, yeah. I mean, we know what the left's going to do. Alan Kren says, I think Massey's wife was deep state assassinated and told him to get in line. Is your opinion? Interesting. I would agree with you, except for the fact that Massey did this in the first term too. So I don't know about that. Bob Wren says, I think Massey's a closeted Democrat. Interesting. I don't know if he is or if he's just a useful tool for the deep state, whatever they need him to be. But it's possible. Lockfeld on Rumble says Trump should schedule an event in Kentucky. Maybe. Alan says, if my wife dies, I'm going to get remarried to a younger one. I'll know I'll go within 6 months if I don't, cause of loneliness. Well, that's very sad. I'm sorry to hear that. But I understand. I said it. I'm not judging everybody, but I just, Thomas Massey's a public servant. And I just have a big issue with him getting married that fast. I really do. I think it looks terrible. Toad says, this, like other attempts, will boomerang for Trump. Pisses me off to see it happening. Amen. I agree. And I do think, listen, what did we talk about last week? I went through all the attacks on Trump and how they'd backfired. And this is just another one, the same line. So, we gotta, I just trust the Lord. We just need to pray through this. We've prayed Trump through all the other things, and he's only gotten stronger. And I believe this will happen too. But this is a very interesting plot they're trying right now. Cruz tucked his tail and hid in 2020. Agreed. Toad says Satan tactics, partial truths with the parts that are false or the parts that destroy it. Absolutely. Remember, deception is never outright right in front of you, obvious lies. It's not. Deception buys your trust with truths and half-truths and then sneaks in the lies. That's how deception works. That's how Satan tempted Jesus. And it even says in the Bible that the devil comes as an angel of light. In other words, he tricks you. That's how deception works. These people never tell you who they are up front, but if you listen, you can see. Carol's an MSDNC plant. Maybe Ian's a ghost till you lie. I agree. Alan says you can't find crap about me either. Alan, that's probably because you're older, buddy. I wonder if his name's not even Ian Carroll. Well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Podcaster Andrew Wilson's MAGA. Andrew Wilson's very interesting. I think he's MAGA. I haven't listened to him enough to feel confident about that. But I do not like how misogynistic he is. Tells us, hey, when I'm trying to waves have to wipe potato chips. Randy Fine is garbage. Absolutely. He's terrible. What's up, Roger? What's up, Candace? Alan says, Trump's trying to destroy both sides, Democrats and Republicans, and the Fed goes bankrupt, destroy the economy with inflation, causing stock market crash. Just a thought. Well, that's true. And I agree with you. And Trump he's already almost fully destroyed the Republicans, the old school Republicans. They are hanging by a thread. The Democrats are in very big trouble as well. In fact, here's old Harry. Harry, what do you got to tell us? Actually, let's listen to Harry real quick. This will be my first clip I play tonight.
Democrats at this point are historically divided. It is a complete and utter mess. It is messier than a hoarder's basement. What are we talking about here? The national early poll leader, 25% plus. Normally, that's where Democrats are. Biden was at 25% plus in 2020. Hillary Clinton was in 08 and 16. Gore was in 00 and 04. At this particular point, there is no one in the Democratic race for president who's polling at 25% plus. The water is quite warm. If you're a Democrat potentially thinking about running in 2028, jump right in, because at this point, there is no front runner.
What do you think? Is that because how people view the Democratic Party right now, is that contributing to this?
Yeah, I think that is in large part of what's going on, is one of the reasons why there is no front runner. Nobody wants to put anybody up at the top of their ballot list, is because at this particular point, the Democratic brand is in the basement. It is total and complete garbage in the mind of the American public. The Democratic Party's net favorable rating, record lows in all three. Wall Street Journal, 30.
You guys see that? Record lows in all three. And these are the polls skewed. Wall Street Journal, CNN, Gallup, they all skew left now. Even Gallup. Gallup's been co-opted for about 10 years. All skew left. And they all have the Democrats at the lows. The Democratic Party is basically on the edge of destruction, and they just don't know it yet. They're not accepting defeat. But they are so low with the American people, they can't get anything done. The only way they have any chance at all is if MAGA collapses, which is why I always say we have to keep our foot on the gas, which is why they're trying to destroy MAGA right now, to let the Democrats kind of rise back up. They want They want the whole two-party uniparty thing going back on. Here's your turn. Here's your turn. Here's your turn. We'll keep the people deluded, get done what we want to do. They want that back. They miss it. They miss it terribly. The Democratic Party, the Republicans, the or traditional Republicans have no power at all right now. They're trying to get it back. They're trying to convince MAGA they're the real ones. So we let them back in. We're not going to. The Democrats, they don't have anything. They don't have a chance because they can't take over MAGA. They can only hope MAGA falls apart. But the Democratic brand is going to get worse and worse and worse over time. And with the demographics, I mean, I've shown you guys all this. There's a road to the Republicans, MAGA holding power for 20 plus years. It's not even hard to get there as long as we don't screw it up. That's the big thing. That's why they're trying to create a civil war in MAGA right now. They want all this back. But Alan's absolutely right. He is trying to fully destroy the parties as they were. And yeah, I don't think he's trying to destroy the economy. I disagree with that. But what he is doing is going to rebuild a real economy. They rebuild a real economy, and yes, that will require pain. That will require a stock market going down for a little while. There's my wife probably vacuuming up more puke. That sucks. They need that. It has to happen because the only way you can rebuild a real economy is if the current one goes through the process of pain, which is a rebuilding. The house of cards has to fall, all the fake stuff, so we can rebuild it. So yeah, in that sense, yes, I agree with you. There is a sunrise at the end, absolutely, into the better times. Brandon Boyle says they don't want to destroy MAGA. They would rather infiltrate and take it over. Well, that is the Republican side. Yes, the traditional Republicans are absolutely trying to do that. But the Democrats, they don't care about that. They just want to destroy America fully, which I don't necessarily think the Levin wing does, the Cruz wing does, but they want to run America to keep the wars going, keep the Israel stuff going. But speaking of the markets, since you brought it up, Alan, let's look where we're at in the markets right now. It's not very pretty. It's not very pretty. Check this out. So Bam wrote this today. Actually, do I want to start with him? Let's go back. We'll go back to him. I want to share this other stuff first. So for some reason, my computer is taking a sec on these tweets. Sorry. Did I just lose? There it goes. Finally. Okay. All right, people, the problem is serious. Banks already borrowed $14.75 billion from the Fed standing repo today. And no, the month-end excuse doesn't carry anymore. There is so much money going to the banks right now behind the scenes. It's getting wild. U.S. banks, Fed again, another $24 billion injection in the U.S. banking system. Make that $125 billion over the last 5 days. Guys, they are trying to keep the banks from collapsing. We are starting to see the cracks. BAM's model is showing the weakness starts this week. Now, again, not predicting a crash, but I am saying a crash makes sense, and the sooner it happens, the better for Trump heading into the midterms because he'll have time to rebuild things. The shutdown is really starting to strain. They were able to get through the first few weeks, no problem. But the last couple of weeks have started to hurt. And then this week, now that we're in November, is really hurting. Because now they're not getting those SNAP benefits in anymore. Now they're not getting that injection of cash from everybody who got their injection of cash. You know, they forced Trump today to, the courts forced the Trump administration to fund SNAP benefits with whatever cash they could find. Well, they were able to find enough to maybe fund half of it. But since they have to move it around and do all this stuff, they said it could take a few weeks. So those SNAP benefits, even though the judge is forcing it to come out, it's still going to take time to get out there. Meanwhile, the banks are stressing. The stores are stressing. This is becoming a major problem. And every day that goes by, when the Fed is giving out the repo money to the banks to borrow to stay alive, every day it gets closer and closer to something breaking. And then we have like the housing market. Only 2.8% of homes, 28 of every 1,000, change hands in the first 9 months of 2025. Lowest turnover in 30 years. The housing market is basically dead right now. 88% of Americans are currently living in areas that are basically in a recession. The entire economy is being propped up by the AI blitz and other tech stuff right now. That's where almost all the GDP is coming from. Somehow, some way, the numbers haven't collapsed, and it's tough because some things are getting better. The inflation has slowed down. Some things are getting cheaper, especially gas, but it's not enough yet. It's not enough. And we got to go through the pain, which never really came. It's coming, guys. It is coming, as Bam writes today. Throughout recent history, the big banks have been a net negative, not a positive, with respect to stability and clarity and simplicity of safe, dependable terms. Based on my MSTR BLK models, I think that's BlackRock. I'm afraid they managed to screw up Bitcoin, and that 6 to 24 months from now, everyone will come to realize that. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm passing along information my models are seeing generated in real time. Leverage is a scourge on humanity. Human greed is undefeated in its track record of destruction. So what Bam's saying is that we're also going to have a purge in Bitcoin. And so I'm just throwing this out there because I don't want you guys to, I don't want anybody to throw their whole wealth into Bitcoin just in case. I mean, maybe throw a flyer in there. But everything's going to be affected when this happens. And it's going to be ugly. It is. When? I don't know. And maybe Trump pulls a miracle out that we don't know. Maybe there's something just insane they will do that shocks the world. Trillions of dollars of gold that they just bust out. Something like that. I don't know. But that's what it would take to stop this. Anything else than that, not going to be able to hold this off. So it's starting to crumble. The shutdown is enforcing it. And it seems like a lot of things are starting to come together at once. The shutdown, the economy is starting to crack. The markets are definitely starting to crack. The MAGA movement's being attacked from all sides. This is one of our great last battles, guys. We got to get through these next few months. So we really need to be praying. We really need to be staying on top of things. We need to be paying attention to those who are trying to co-op everything. Oops. And ruin it for us, because this is their last chance. They have to do it this way, because MAGA's so strong right now. You can't take us on front. You can't take us on by the front. We can't. We win. There's just too much winning. Trump's too strong right now. So the only way to do it is to hit us from within. That's the only way you're going to break MAGA right now. They are really, really trying. And one of the reasons is they know that this is coming too. Because if they can crack MAGA going into this, then they can turn that downturn to their advantage, and they can maybe break Trump and Vance going forward. And now I'm at the point where we have to consider Vance as part of it, Trump and Vance, because they see the future. They can't get rid of Trump. He's going to be around until 2028. He's too strong in and of himself. Even if he's weakened, he's just got too much support at this point. They won't be able to get rid of him. But they can ruin the 28 election. That's what they're trying to do. It's an outside shot. It's a low percentage play, but they're going for it. They really, really are going for it. How can a judge force that, says Toe? I don't know. They figure out these things. Mark R says 71 likes. Let's get to 100. Yeah, please, guys, if you don't mind, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Alan says Walmart was very little people there. Good sign of Walmart wants more money. They'll lower prices. Oh, yeah. Well, I thought about this the first time ever today. How much is all these food stamps going out keeping our prices up? It's a great question, and it makes a lot of sense. Supply and demand. Well, when you're getting, I'm a family of 8. Okay. Myself, my wife, 6 kids. Our food budget, depending on the month, is about $1,600 to $1,700 a month. That's a lot of money we spend on food, but we're wise with our food. We're careful. We cook. We shop smartly, and we get everything at Aldi. We try to eat healthy, but we don't splurge very much because it's a lot of money to run that family. These people with like families of 4, families of 5, with 3 or 4 kids with two adults, are getting $4,000 plus, double what I spent on groceries. Those people can go out, buy up a bunch of stuff they don't need. People on EBT are way, way bigger on average than others. They're just buying junk, and they can buy all they want. Lobster tails. I saw this woman getting lobster tails. It's crazy. You should not be able to buy that if you're on food stamps. You should be given just enough to get by and also be limited on what you can buy. But we haven't done that. The food companies love it. It's a lot of money for them. Soda companies love it. But it's just not good for the economy and not for the rest of us. Alan says, I said this is a debt system. You need to keep printing dollars. Well, that's true, but we're not printing yet. There hasn't been any printers yet. It's going to be interesting and see how it goes. Brett says, I agree with you. It's like the medical insurance. Once all those subsidies go away, I think it'll start bringing the price tag down to reality. It should, theoretically. True economics. The only problem with the health subsidies is they're still not going truly to a real market because of Obamacare. But maybe food price crash if SNAP stays closed. It's possible. Candace says, my cousin called me today, said I had a good day. Costco, everybody spoke English and there were no lines. That's amazing. I love it. Speaking of the shutdown, let's look at the shutdown. Let's look at where we're at with that. Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture, says, on my first day, USDA, we told every state to send us their SNAP data so we can make sure illegal immigrants aren't getting benefits meant for American families. 29 states stepped up, 21 refused, and 2 sued us just for asking the question. Can you believe that? In the states that cooperated, they already found massive fraud. So they're getting illegal immigrants off SNAP in 29 states. The 29 red states gave them their data, and they found fraud even in the red states that were being cooperative. So there was fraud there, even in the states that are actually trying to do a good job. So anyways, they're trying to get rid of the fraud in SNAP. Guys, imagine if we do. 42 million people are on SNAP benefits right now. How many of those are illegal aliens? It's crazy. And like I said, we're talking thousands of dollars. To sue them for asking for data when it's federal money going into this, that's insanity. It's insanity. Wonder how much fraud, if they found fraud in the red states, how much they're going to find in the blue states. It's disgusting. It's so crazy. And now, since the SNAP went through, though, because of this judge, because they no longer have to force the issue, there's no political pressure from the SNAP benefits anymore. Guess what? The U.S. government shutdown now expected to last until December 1st. Guess what December 1st is, Alan? You want to tell them? You've been on this the whole time. We'd hit 61 days. At 61 days, see, on day 1 of the shutdown, the Trump administration sent out these RIF warnings, which is basically reduction in force, saying, hey, we might cut you if the government doesn't reopen. Well, that warning has a 60-day limit, okay? Or it's not 60-day limit, like a 60-day protection until it can fully go into effect. At the end of those 60 days, the Trump administration could theoretically cut all those jobs without any fight. Now, there probably will be a fight because the judges in this country are crazy right now, but it will give the Trump administration a huge advantage in trying to cut significantly. So right now, Polymarket has it going to December 1st. And you know, it's funny today. Eric, my friend, is, my bald friend. You guys have seen him on the show. He wrote me today and said, I think this thing's about to shut, man. The SNAP pressure's too much. And I said, I don't know, man. Let's see what happens. Then the judge did this and the Trump administration came out and said, we'll fund half of them. Yeah, and just them working on that took the pressure off. And now it looks like it's going to make the 61 days. So crazy. As of tomorrow, I believe we've set the new record for shutdowns. Tomorrow or Wednesday, I think, which the old record was 35 days. We're about to set a record. So pretty crazy stuff, guys. I just hope you're not traveling during Thanksgiving at this stage, because delays are wild in airports right now. Delays are wild. So another good thing that might come out of this, though, is that we might get a bunch of cuts. They're definitely got an opportunity to cut back SNAP benefits by looking into the fraud. Well, another good thing is Trump now is pushing hard to get rid of the filibuster. He's done twice this weekend. He said, remember, Republicans, regardless of the Schumer shutdown, Democrats will terminate the filibuster. First chance they get, they'll pack the Supreme Court, pick up 2 states, and add at least 8 electoral votes. Their 2 objectors are gone. Don't be weak and stupid. Fight, win. We will immediately end the extortionist shutdown, get all of our agenda passed, make life so good for Americans. These deranged Democrat politicians will never again have the chance to destroy America. You will rue the day you don't terminate the filibuster. Be tough and win. And then he did another one, all in caps. Terminate the filibuster, not just for the shutdown, but for everything else. We'll get all of our common sense policies approved. Voter ID, make America great again. Remember, the Democrats will do it immediately. Our doing it will not give them the chance. Be tough and smart. They'll not open up our country. Listen, Trump obviously sees an opportunity here to get rid of the filibuster. If you're wondering about the filibuster, okay, is it constitutional? No. There's no filibuster in the Constitution. It's a Senate rule, and it's a Senate rule that's been extremely abused. In the old days, you could filibuster, but you stood up and you spoke, and you had to speak, and you could speak as long as you wanted, and you could force them to not do the votes, and that's how you filibustered. Some people would go for 20 hours. You just spoke and spoke and spoke nonstop. And it needed 60 votes to stop you from speaking, to stop the debate. Now, they don't even do the debate part. They just make you vote 60 votes in order to actually pass anything. It's stupid. It's archaic. It's no longer needed. The checks and balances of our system already exist. We have a president who can veto or sign either way. We have a House and a Senate in the Congress that both can go back and forth. And we have the judiciary, the Supreme Court, which can overturn something that's not constitutional. Those are the checks and balances. We don't need a filibuster. A filibuster is a manufactured checks and balance that they've only kept because it was a uniparty that allowed the minority party to have almost as much power as a majority party. That's just not how it's supposed to be. That's not how our system is made. That goes against the spirit of our system. The filibuster is a joke. It should be gone. Get rid of it. And for anybody who'd say, well, if you do that, then you don't protect us if we lose power. Well, again, they can get rid of it anytime they want. But think about it this way. We could pass the entire MAGA agenda easily. Everything Trump wants to get done, everything MAGA wants to get done could pass easily without the filibuster. The House is already in line. They vote for everything through. The Senate would easily do it with 53 votes. Easily. Because even if we lose 3, JD Vance can break the tie. The MAGA agenda would pass so fast and make your head spin. Now, yeah, you could say Democrats will come in and revoke it. Sure, fine. Republicans get back in. We can put it right back on. That's the thing. Things happen faster if you get rid of the filibuster. You can pass more laws, but you can also revoke more laws. Very easy. That's what the founders intended, because they intended things to be experimental and happen. So Trump is seeing an opportunity here. And, you know, right, they've already said, no way it's going to happen. We won't do it. But if this continues on and we get enough pressure on them, we could see this happen. And this would be the best thing to happen to the Republican Party. It would be so bold, so courageous, and it would completely, because now they get to hide behind it. Sorry, Donald, we can't pass this because the filibuster, the Democrats won't let us. Well, that's a big problem. That's a big problem when you are the party in charge and you're using an excuse of why you can't get an agenda done that the people clearly want. But that's how they play that game. That's how they can pretend that they still support him despite it. Brett says, I don't think the filibuster was designed for Cory Booker to go on 24-hour meth binge ranting about retarded policies. Good call, Brett. He reminds everybody, like and subscribe. Thank you so much, Brett, for that. Please like, subscribe if you guys like the content. I do this show 4 or 5 times a week, and so I appreciate it. And I'm trying to do better for those of you who've had an issue with it. I started today. I know I was a couple minutes late, but my kids were puking. It's not my fault. I am trying to do better about scheduling so you guys know when I'll be on live, or at least close to when I'll be on live, okay? So... revoke laws is going to be a big deal in the future. Absolutely, it will be. Absolutely. So, but this is great news, and hopefully we get there. All right, last couple things I want to cover before we end it tonight. All right, couple just quick hitters. Big James Comey news came out today. Comey hid his notes about the Hillary plan to Donald Trump to Russia in the safe in the secret room in the Hoover building, deliberate obstruction of Durham's investigation. The FBI leadership hid hundreds of pages of Crossfire Hurricane documents and attempted to destroy them. They found them. They found a large majority of documents on the floor in burn bags. So this is starting to come out about Comey. And as she says, this is a Hillary Soros plan to tie Donald Trump to Russian intelligence to distract from Hillary emails. Demonize Trump in the media. FBI pour oil on the fire. Comey, Obama are briefed on the plan by Brennan. Comey pretended to the Senate he never heard of the plan. Newly released Comey notes confirm he knew. So Comey is busted, guys. He's already been indicted. He is going down. This is awesome. This is awesome stuff. It's spreading, getting bigger and bigger. And then I saw you guys keep posting this, so we'll share it. Nancy Pelosi reportedly will not seek re-election. That's a beautiful thing. Everybody take a deep breath. Smile. That's just beautiful. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Enjoy a sip of your wine now. Everybody drink. Cheers. Goodbye, Nancy. You won't be missed. Just an old witch hag. So glad she's going to be gone. Trump announced, this is to me is a real big deal. So I don't know how many of you guys know, but there's been a massive genocide of Christians in Nigeria. Thousands and tens of thousands getting killed. Trump finally announced that they're going to go after them. Says U.S. will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria while may go in guns a-blazing to wipe out the terrorists committing these horrible atrocities. I'm instructing Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it'll be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the thugs who attacked them. Nigerian government better move fast. So, guys, this is a huge, huge deal. This won't be boots on the ground, anything like this. This will get solved fast. But I know, like, there's a lot of people like, we don't want more war, blah, blah. I get it. I don't want war either. But when you have the biggest stick in the world and good people are just being slaughtered for no reason. You know, Christians are the most persecuted people in the world. 50 million Christians persecuted every year. It's horrible. Okay. And so we have a Christian government now. We've stopped other genocides. We've stood up for the Jews, all that, and we're finally standing up for the Christians. It's a beautiful thing. And I think this alone, in fact, I heard that the Nigerian government's already responding. So, just really good stuff, guys. I love that Trump's doing this, and it just makes me see that he hears us too, because this started becoming an uproar in MAGA the last few weeks. And interestingly enough, there was no backlash to this, despite MAGA being very anti-war, and sometimes those voices come in that are very loud to try to disturb us, or the Candace Owens, the Nick Fuentes types who really try to like attack Trump over anything like this. They silence. So that's a good thing. It means everybody agrees on this one. It has to be done. So very good, very good. And then the last thing I want to show you is, I just had to play this clip because, guys, tomorrow New York's about to elect the first like openly communist mayor of a big city in history, in American history. It's happened in small cities, but never in one of our big ones. And the mayor of New York's a big deal. It was a financial center of the U.S., and they're about to elect a communist. Millions and millions of people. And I just want to show you, an example of who's voting for this guy and just how deep the deception runs that's come from the left.
I voted for Mamdani.
Okay, can you tell us why?
I'm just looking for someone new and not part of the established Democratic Party who also hasn't been accused of sexual assault.
I spoke to the other side a little bit, and they're concerned about like the government-run grocery stores and the free buses. What's your response to that?
I think government in the U.S. is great in the sense that there's always balance, right? Like no one person is making all the decisions, and so I think there'll be balance within.
He describes himself as a Democrat socialist. Like, do you feel like socialism would work in New York City?
No, not necessarily.
Wow. Do you think socialism will work in New York City? No. And she just voted for the guy. So, pretty crazy, guys. I don't know. Pretty crazy stuff. That's who's voting for him. So, what can you do? What can you do to that? You can't stop that. It's like she outright votes against something she thinks just because he's got a good vibe, I guess. So, there you go. But again, New York's going to elect him, but I think it's going to be a very good thing for the right overall because it's going to wake up a lot of people that we're not done, that we got to keep going. And, the one thing you get when you're the party of the working class, which we are now, the one thing you have to constantly deal with is the fact that the people are not that politically inclined. They don't follow this stuff like I do or you guys even do watching this. And that's okay. They're entitled to that. But at the same time, when that's your voting base, you got to keep them awake every once in a while to stay involved because they won't be. They just want to vote every 4 years and hope the president takes care of things. And that's fine. Honestly, that's how it should be. But it's not how it really is. We have to stay involved. And so Charlie Kirk's assassination was a wake-up call. Mamdani's election will be a wake-up call. And I believe that what it'll do is help us more in the midterms, but it's going to really suck for New York in time. So anyways, love you guys. That's the show. We're going to pray here in a sec. Let me catch up with the chat and any last questions and stuff, guys, we'll get in. And by the way, but if you are heading out, please like and subscribe on the way out. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. I'll be back here again tomorrow around the same time and have a lot more to talk about. Brett says, Nancy's the poster child for term limits. Amen. She's the poster child for abstinence. That's hilarious. Yeah, I covered Trump's cabinet staying on the military base last week. It's crazy. The side of Trump stunned you? What's that, Roger? Him helping the Christians? Thank God you didn't move to Florida. Amen. Amen to that. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, please like and subscribe. And guys, remember, listen, I didn't say anything tonight to scare you or worry you. I'm as optimistic as I've ever been about the future. Here's the thing. Now, when they try a psy-op on us, when they try to infiltrate us and ruin what we're trying to do, we can see it. That's the glorious thing now about having X and having all this access to information and having people who can actually break stuff down. It's amazing because of that, we're not going to fall for it because it can get exposed so quickly. And so even though there is a massive psy-op right now trying to take out MAGA, I don't think it's going to work. I think Trump and Vance are so likable and strong and going to get so much done in the next 3 years. There's going to be nothing to stop them. I do think something bad's coming in the economy soon. I really do. And that's not Trump's fault. Trump's dealing with what had to break that was already left there for him. And so he's going to be the one to carry us through it. And thank God it's him. I do think they are trying to make it happen now. I think Trump is okay with it happening sooner than later. That's why he's not in a rush for the shutdown to end. And I think the Democrats want it to happen because they're going to try to use it to ruin Trump. So you have two sides being okay with the economy falling apart for at least temporarily. But Trump's so smart and I trust him so much. Like, I think they all have a plan for it. Besant sure doesn't seem worried, and that guy's a genius about the economy. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not, but we have to call it out and we have to expose it for what it is. There is a lot of bad people right now trying to get back power who are out of it. There's a lot of other bad people trying to take advantage so they can grow in more power that they've never had. They see opportunities, but those opportunities are fleeting and they're not as good as they think they are. They're not as strong as they think they are. They're boosted up by their fake numbers. They're boosted up by social media that makes them feel more powerful than they really are. And it's all going to collapse on them because we've seen what Trump has gone through time and time again. And guys, compared to what he's already overcome, I don't think this is anything. So I'm really not worried about it. But thank you, Toe, for that. Oh, Trump's support for Christians took you by surprise? Really? Well, I wasn't surprised by it. I was kind of waiting. I thought it was overdue, but I'm glad he did it. I'm glad it surprised you. So the court on tariffs is Wednesday. You better believe I'll be covering it. That is going to be one of the biggest decisions in American history. Because if they rule against Trump on Wednesday, I don't know if they'll rule on Wednesday, but if they do rule against him, it will cause immediate recession and market crash in the economy because we've already collected so much money, and to pay that all back would be devastating. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Supreme Court does. So on Wednesday, just in case you're not following, guys, the Supreme Court is hearing the arguments for whether or not Trump can institute tariffs or whether Congress has to do it. And if they repeal it, if they say he can't do what he did, they have to pay all that money back to the countries, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so that will be devastating to the economy. But anyways, all right, but I'll definitely be covering it, Brett. And I might even stream. I won't be on because I'll be at work, but I will try to get up the Supreme Court arguments on my page if anybody wants to watch them, how they actually happen. So, all right, love you guys. Let's pray because God knows we need it. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Father, bless President Trump, bless JD Vance, bless the whole Trump administration and the real MAGA movement, God. Lord, it's so clear what they're trying to do. They are trying to ruin us. They're trying to stop the momentum we have in taking our country back. They hate that they lost power, and God, they won't stop until they are so defeated they can't do anything anymore. And that's okay because we know we're winning. But Lord, I pray that just like every other time, you protect President Trump. You give him wisdom to steer through it. And I pray again, just like every other time, it blows up in their face and it ends up propelling him forward, God, and the agenda forward of the people. What's good for the people, best for the people, just like every other time. So, Father, we pray that we give that to you in Jesus' name. Pray for justice and prosperity back in our country and for wisdom for all of us to navigate whatever times are coming. And Father, I just pray for more opening of the eyes of the people, that the awakening would spread in this country, revival would spread. And I just bless everybody here in this chat and watching, God. You'd be with them. You'd bless their bodies, bless their minds, bless their relationships and their finances. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Good night. Have a great night. And I will talk to you all later tomorrow. Bye.